All right, guys, we're back. It's a nice sunny day. It froze really good last night, but not quite good enough to get the tractor out and do some more leveling on that pad over there. So we're gonna do a little diagnosis day. Got a few problems we gotta figure out. One, this old Ford 8N tractor behind me. This thing is, it doesn't wanna stay running. There's only a couple things can go wrong with it. It's either gonna be electrical or it's gonna be fuel. Because this old tractor, there ain't much more to it. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be a carburation problem because I can take the carburetor off, take it apart, clean it out real good, and hopefully it'll run. If it's electrical, more than likely I have to buy parts. Don't really want to buy parts, so we're going to cross our fingers on that. The other thing is the elCamino. The elCamino won't heat up to operating temperature, and I don't know if the thermostat is stuck open, wide open. Usually when the thermostat is stuck wide open, after a long time, it will still get up to operating temperature. The one mistake I think I did make before I left California, the old fan clutch that was on that thing was really, really loose. It didn't want to spin a lot, so I knew it was basically gone out already. So I bought a new fan clutch for it. And the guy at the auto parts store, he asked me, he said, do you want the regular fan clutch or do you want the heavy duty fan clutch? My question, what's the difference? Price is about the same, $5 difference. He says the heavy duty one, it's gonna last longer. I said, well, shoot, I'll go for that for an extra $5. I don't know a lot about fan clutches, so I put a heavy duty fan clutch in it. In talking to some people since then, they say that could definitely be my problem. The heavy duty fan clutches spin more. They're more for pulling trailers. They're more for a heavy duty application, not necessarily lasting longer. So that car might need a new fan clutch. I think the way I'm going to diagnose that is I'm going to put a piece of cardboard in front of the radiator and fire it up and see how long it takes. See if that thermostat goes sky high, because it won't be pulling any air through it. And if it goes sky high really quick, I'm going to guess it's not the thermostat. Going to be a guess on that one though. But we'll get on this Ford tractor first, check it out, see what we can figure out. Got my ohm tester out over there, voltage tester, whatever you want to call it, multimeter. Get that out over there, see how many volts that battery has in it. It's a 6-volt system. I've always had to jump it. If I wanted it to run, getting it on the trailer to bring it up here, I had to jump it with my truck, which is a 12-volt system. I know that. It's all right, it works just fine as long as you don't leave it on there too long. See how many volts are in it right now, jump it, and hook the meter back up and see if the voltage is dropping. If the voltage coming off the generator is still at 6 volts and it's holding 6 volts to the battery, and it still dies, then it's got to be fuel. But first things first, get this thing fired up. Let's see how many volts are on the battery right now. I'll hook the truck up to it, see if we can get it fired up. So right now, hopefully you can see this, we've almost got 3 volts to this battery, which isn't enough to start it. So we're gonna grab the jumper cables, bring the truck over here, hook this up, see if we can get this thing fired up. So I was having a hard time getting my test leads or getting my multimeter to work. And it turns out the test leads are going out. They're going bad. The little connection that 90s into the multimeter itself, as far as I can tell, the wires they're broke down in there. If I hold the one negative, if I push up on it, it'll work. So I'm gonna have to buy another set of leads for that multimeter. But we did see that it drops in voltage as it runs, and it gets down to about a 1.5 volts and it dies. Put the jumper cables back on it for a second, fire it back up, take the jumper cables loose, it slowly drops down again. So it's not fuel, It's not the easy fix with this. I was hoping it was a plug carburetor and maybe the float was stuck and it wasn't letting gas in fast enough, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So I've been waiting to put a 12-volt system on this thing for a while, and now I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm guessing the alternator is bad. Like I said, I've been waiting to put a 12-volt system on this, so I'm just going to justify putting a 12-volt system on it at this point. I could go through and test the voltage regulator and whatever else is going, but I think I'm just going to jump for the 12-volt system. I know they run a little bit better with the 12-volt system on them, so I'm going to go for it. So on to the next thing, the elCamino. Now, I said before that I put a new fan clutch in it, and now it's not heating up to operating temperature. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardboard and we're going to stick it in between the AC condenser and the radiator to plug that airflow. And I'm going to see if it's going to attempt to overheat. It shouldn't take too long for it to warm up. It shouldn't take too long for it to overheat at that. So go grab a piece of cardboard and stick it in here real quick. So here it is, the inside of the elCamino. I still need to find a way to keep this upper hose from rubbing on this fan shroud that I made. But we're going to take this piece of cardboard, set it right down in there, right in front of the fan. That's going to block the majority of air coming through this radiator. Wish I had a piece. I guess I could get another piece that's a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll get another piece and stick it over here to plug up the majority of the radiator. We're going to fire it up and we're going to let it run for a minute, watching that temperature gauge, and we're going to see if that temperature gauge goes into the overheat zone. If that happens, I'm going to guess it's a fan clutch that I put in there. It's just too much. Here's our temperature gauge down here in the corner. And I'm going to wait here for a while and see what that temperature gauge does. With no air coming through that radiator, it should only be a matter of minutes before that thing heats up. Here's a thermostat gauge here in the bottom. One that says temp on it. Be a dead giveaway. I've been out here for about, I'd say, minimum 10 minutes, maybe 15. And that thermostat gauge, I think, is supposed to be just under the 210 mark, which is straight up. Kind of hard to see because the needle's in the way of some of it. It's been creeping up to where it's at right now for quite a while, and that radiator is completely plugged off. There's cardboard all the way across it, so there's no way it's that fan clutch is keeping this thing cool. Oh, see there, it jumped right there. I was just out touching the radiator hoses, and they're not super hot. It's not like the gauge right here is bad. You turn the fan on over here, on hot. The air is pretty warm right now, but it's going to cool down. I'm betting that this fan right here is going to drop that down real quick. I think that thermostat is actually stuck full open. See, this air is cooling down already. It was kind of hot to start with, but it's cooling down pretty quick. And it looks to me like that gauge is going down. Just with this fan in here, that gauge is dropping. And no hot air. I mean, this time of year where I'm at, I need a heater. I don't need lukewarm air blowing out of this. I need hot air. I'm gonna guess that it's not the fan clutch that I put in, but the thermostat that's gone out on this thing, and it's letting water just flow through. So like I'd said, I've had this thing running for minimum 10 minutes, probably closer to 15. Some of that time I had the foot in the throttle, holding about 2 grand, trying to get this thing to warm up. I would venture to say that even without a thermostat in it, just free flowing water and a regular fan clutch, the thing probably should have still warmed up. It just blows lukewarm air inside. You can take your hand and grab the radiator hose. I mean, it's barely warm. The upper radiator hose should be boiling. And my fingers are bare. I know I have a glove on. My fingers are bare and it's not hot. So anyways, I don't think it's a fan clutch. Putting the cardboard in front of the radiator like that kind of takes the fan clutch out of the equation because it doesn't let it pull any air through the radiator. So what, $7 to $10 thermostat, 2 gallons of antifreeze, and we'll start from there on the elCamino. See if that puts a heater back in this thing. I can't drive this thing in the winter without a heater. Get this thing all buttoned up again, closed up. We've got a couple things figured out today. Number one, the Ford tractor, I believe the generator's going out. And I have been meaning, like I said, to put a 12-volt system on that thing. So I think I'm going to go that route to fix that tractor and get it running again. This thing probably needs a thermostat, I would guess on this. Let me know. Put it in the comments if you think it's something different. But I'm thinking it's going to be a thermostat. Just because taking the fan shroud out of the equation, putting the cardboard in front of the radiator still doesn't heat up. I think that thermostat is stuck wide open. So I'll get some parts coming and we'll get some of these things fixed up around here. Till next time, guys, go make something.